Hello, welcome to Anyone Can Travel. A new trend I'm hearing about is using AI to plan your trips, and thought, hey, is this a new hack? Does it really work? And I thought, what better way to test it out than where I live in Salt Lake City? So I asked specifically chatgpt to plan a one-day vacation in Salt Lake City with places to eat and things to see for under $100 a person. It gave me an interesting itinerary, so we're gonna try it out today. One thing, it did take a really long time to give me a response, and I broke it out into different sections. I had to ask it because it would stop. People who are more familiar with chatgpt can maybe clarify. I think because it has a character limit of 4,000, so it would hit that limit, and then I'd have to say, hey, can you finish what you were talking about? And it would finish the itinerary. So we're gonna test it out, see how feasible it is, if it's a good itinerary, if I think it's something I'd recommend for someone coming to Salt Lake, and if I think you should use chatgpt to plan your vacations.
Fresh air while the paint is wet. Half plans are sketching out. There's new life inside of me. I'm stretching past old limits. Follow our light.
First up, it told us to visit Temple Square. So I definitely think Temple Square is a great recommendation. It's in the very center. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has played such a large role in the development of Utah and specifically Salt Lake City. So it's a great place to learn about the history. Even if you're not religious, it's a really beautiful area, especially during the spring. There's lots of flowers, and the winter it's decorated for Christmas, and it's definitely like the best time to come. Lots of like free organ recitals and concerts. They will give you free tours, tell you pretty much everything that you could possibly want to know. Lots of information. We got some interesting information about the organ in the old tabernacle, but something that chatgpt did not say, a very large portion of Temple Square is currently closed for construction, for renovation and refurbishment. So it's just a very small square that's open right now. You know, normally not a problem, but chatgpt is just not able to give you that super updated information. So you are still gonna have to check and confirm that the places that they're recommending are open. Something to keep in mind if you are planning on using an AI like chatgpt to plan your vacations or your travels. Otherwise though, I think this was a really great recommendation. Next, we are going to head to Penny Ann Cafe for breakfast. Penny Ann's Cafe for breakfast was actually really good. I'd never heard of it. It's been around for a little over 10 years, and they had really good pancakes, which we got with caramel, banana, and whipped cream. And of course, we also got a fried scone. You may think of scones as being a baked good, but in Utah, they're kind of like a beignet. So we got that with some cinnamon sugar frosting. Very sweet, very good. We could not finish everything, but I was impressed with this recommendation for food. I'm not as impressed with the other recommendations, but maybe they will surprise me. The next spot that we were recommended was the Utah State Capitol. The Capitol has guided tours during the week that you can take, or they have free self-guided tours. We just took the pamphlet and visited the spots and read the information. It was kind of fun. I've never been to the Utah State Capitol, lived here over 10 years, and it's fun to visit and kind of see a lot of the murals were my favorite part, but also interesting to learn just a little bit more about how the government works and what they're doing there and all of that. So worth a visit in my opinion as well. I think it was a good recommendation from chatgpt. I think it's funny that it said to take a walk, because that is one thing I've noticed with these recommendations. They are pretty far away and not necessarily in the order I would recommend for being the most convenient. You could walk from Temple Square to the Utah State Capitol. It's definitely doable. It's uphill, but it's doable. Penny Ann's Cafe was like at the very end of Salt Lake, almost South Salt Lake, so you would have definitely a hard time walking there or walking from there to here. So I don't know if I agree with the order that, the itinerary that ChatGPT gave us, but we are doing it in order just to see how it works and if it's even possible to do everything that I recommended in one day. We are already about 12:30 or 1 o'clock, so we're only done with the first 2 items. We have, I think, 3 more, and lunch and dinner. So let's see what we can fit in, and next we are headed to Liberty Park. Our next stop was Liberty Park. We wanted to rent a paddle boat. I read online it's about $20 for an hour, I think, but the boats were not in the lake yet. It is Memorial Day weekend, so like Monday will be Memorial Day, today's Saturday, so I don't know exactly when that starts, but I imagine it's more in the summer. They have food and rides. We didn't get any food because we're gonna go get lunch next, but we rode, we bought tickets because I wanted to ride the Ferris wheel, but it wasn't working. And then we're like, we'll ride the train, but the train was more than the tickets we bought. So then we just rode the carousel, which was fun. There's some swings, which look really intense. Not a fan of spinning, so we didn't do those. And other little rides for little kids and stuff. So that was fun, and just took a little stroll around the lake. Now we are gonna head to lunch at Red Iguana. Red Iguana is a super popular Mexican restaurant in Salt Lake City, and I've actually never been, so I'm excited to try it. We actually met up with some friends, and they said that it can get very crowded on Saturday afternoons, and so we are going to try to make it to Red Iguana. And then there's also Red Iguana 2, so if that one's too busy, we'll go to that one, and if not, we have a separate Mexican food restaurant that's actually one of my favorites that will be our backup. I'm really excited to try the mole. I feel like that's not something you see in the US as much, so that's what I'm gonna try if we can get in. Red Iguana was surprisingly good. I was actually impressed with that recommendation. It's definitely a Salt Lake classic. Glad I had a chance to eat there. Mole was really good. There's other Mexican places that I would maybe recommend instead that are a little bit cheaper, because it did feel like a lot for just what it was. It's delicious, just a little pricier than maybe some other Mexican restaurants like Santo Taco or Los Tapatillos that are also in the Salt Lake kind of downtown or Rose Park area where Red Iguana is located as well. Next, ChatGPT told us to go to Park City and go to the Utah Olympic Museum. Park City says it's about a 30-minute drive. I feel like if you're gonna go to Park City, you should just spend the whole day in Park City. By the time we finished lunch, we had a pretty late lunch. The wait time was 35 minutes. By the time we finished, it was about 5 o'clock, and the museum closed at 6. It's gonna take us 30 minutes to drive there. Just didn't really seem worth it. Thankfully, ChatGPT gave us some backup recommendations. They recommended the Utah Natural History Museum, which also closed at 5, so wasn't an option, and hiking Ensign Peak, which I think is a great recommendation because the outdoors and hiking is just a big part of Utah and Salt Lake, of what it offers. One of the big draws for people to come visit. And Ensign Peak is a really short hike. It's only a mile. It is very steep uphill because you are hiking to a peak. It has great views of the city and the entire valley. I love it. It's one I've done a few different times. It's just short, quick, a good workout going up and then easy coming down. So I would recommend it. I do feel like we've been driving back and forth because Ensign Peak hike is right behind the Capitol, and so that's one thing that ChatGPT didn't do a good job with the itinerary. It had us driving back and forth, and I would have had us do a different route of things that were closer to each other. Like Penny Ann's was near Liberty Park, so I would have done breakfast and then Liberty Park and then Temple Square and then lunch and then the Utah Capitol and then the hike, and it just would have been flowed a lot better and we would have wasted less time driving. It was definitely very ambitious with the itinerary, trying to get us to fit a lot in, and it just wasn't really possible. So we were able to adjust and do what sounded cool to us. Definitely would recommend customizing to your wants and your needs. Even once ChatGPT gives you the itinerary, you can say, I don't really like this. What about something more like this? And they'll make additional recommendations. So you can even adjust it for your needs that way, instead of just, I wanted to do exactly what it said on the first time to see how it went. Honestly, it was really fun. I think it was a fun day. Would recommend this kind of itinerary for someone visiting Salt Lake for the first time, minus the whole Park City. I would do Park City on a separate day. But for dinner, we are actually going to get pizza from The Pie, another Salt Lake favorite. Not my favorite. I love Pie Hole, which is also in downtown Salt Lake and a lot more accessible. So I would recommend Pie Hole personally, but The Pie is decent and it's a Salt Lake favorite as well. So we just ate though, so we're actually gonna go and just go home and relax and then get some dinner at The Pie and call it a day. So thanks for joining us on this trip through Salt Lake City and experimenting if this new travel hack using ChatGPT to plan your travels actually works. And I think it's good. I think you'd have to still do additional research, but it is fun to get some unique ideas and itineraries. I don't know if it'll replace my traditional planning on a variety of sites. I love to look at blogs, Instagram, YouTube. I use a lot of resources. I think it'll just be one that I add to my belt to use as well. Let me know what you think in the comments if you will be using ChatGPT to plan any of your travels, and we'll see you next time.